Welcome to the program. Happy Monday to everybody out there watching. So President Trump trying to work out some sort of peace agreement. That's what the news is reporting. Folks, after this weekend, I really don't know what to believe in terms of the information that we're getting from the Middle East. It seems like it's all over the place. As we were signing off on Friday, it was up, it was down, it was up, it was down. And you know what else was up and down during that time? The markets, the futures markets. We're going to talk about everything that we possibly can concerning what's going on with peace, because that's what I'm praying for, honestly, is for peace and for our troops to not be put in harm's way, no more casualties as much as we can. And so that we're going to have to talk about Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham comparing the potential taking of Karg Island to Iwo Jima. Iwo Jima. A conflict, a battle. Yeah, we were successful, but it cost us 26,000 American casualties. And so, once again, the childless U.S. Senator from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, essentially treating our troops like they're expendable. And I think most people have a huge problem with it. I think the people of South Carolina have a problem with it, and we're going to talk about it. Also, Robert Mueller died. We're going to talk about his legacy. And the ICE is now at airports trying to. CNN even had to report that in Atlanta, the lines were considerably reduced once ICE showed up and started screening people. We got a great show for you. Happy Monday. It starts now.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, sorry about that. Doing a little housekeeping. Welcome. I hope everybody had a blessed Lord's Day. My co-host is with me on this Monday, Rob Spencer. Rob, how are you, sir?
It's Monday and I'm angry. You know, I feel like that's what we need here. We need to get mad. And I'm so frustrated. I'm so frustrated with idiots like Lindsey Graham, who just proves who he is. He's given us the feature. He's telling us who he is. He's telling us the military industrial complex is in my pocket.
Yep, defense contractors, lobbyists, that's what it is.
They're throwing me this money, folks. They're giving me this money, and that's gonna dictate what I do with your sons and daughters. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to dictate and send your sons and daughters to war in the name of Iwo Jima. I'm going to send them to war because the military-industrial complex is paying for my campaigns. He won't come out and say that part, that second part. But it sure as hell is what's happening, Paul.
Yep.
And I'm so sick of it, man. And we've seen so many of these feckless senators and members of Congress who are simply towing the company line of whatever special interest are padding their pockets, and I'm sick of it. Lindsey Graham needs to get the hell out of Congress, and he needs to take all of these rhinos with him. Now, Lindsey Graham's not a rhino. I don't believe that he's a rhino, but that dude is totally beholden.
You don't think he's a rhino?
I don't think
Republican in name only.
No, I don't think that, because I think if people weren't padding his pockets, I don't think he's going John Kasich. I don't think he is middle of the road, whatever. Lindsey Graham's still going to be crazy.
I would say he's a rhino in that he's just a giant fraud.
Oh, well, I agree with that.
Mean, in terms of he has no principles. His only principle is staying in power, and he's going to say whatever he has to say in order to stay in power.
I am so absolutely on board with that. I don't think that he's a rhino in the sense that he's a Democrat wearing a shield of Republican. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm thinking he's a rhino in the sense that he has no true conservative values, because he doesn't have any values that are true. His values are beholden to the special interest, and it pisses me off. I am so sick of it, because he is one of 100 that are in control of that Senate that are an absolute total joke. People want to make fun of Mike Johnson and say he could have done this and could have done that differently in the House. We can say all of that stuff. We can be frustrated with this or that, but that man has to play politics far greater than any other person in Congress, in my opinion, because the House is chaos. It's the closest thing that we have to the parliamentary, craziness that you'll see in Canada and the UK and the British Parliament and all of that stuff. The House is the closest thing to that. I mean, we almost saw AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene go to blows.
I forgot about that.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Now I say that, and immediately my brain remembers the Mark Wayne Mullen wanting to fight with a guest. But I've not seen two senators wanting to go at it. But AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene, absolutely, baby girl, whatever AOC with her stupidness.
Oh yes, I mean it was kind of an advertisement to get rid of the 19th Amendment, but I digress.
Paul, I'm not going there.
No, we don't have to go there. I'm just saying.
We've got some great females who are absolutely crucial. Listen, give me a strong conservative Christian woman any day of the week, man. I'll take them. But people like Mike Johnson catch a lot of flack, but he has a razor thin majority. The fact that he can get anything passed in the House is somewhat of a miracle, if you ask me. The fact that he can get anything passed, and they passed the Save America Act, and they sent it to the Senate, and John Thune and his worthless zombie sidekick known as Mitch McConnell can't do crap. Oh, Hometown TV, we love you. We love you as an audience, but I want to say things.
Well, if anything, see, that's one of the things is I love that we are on some cable because I'm a fan. I think the FCC rules on decency are like the last
bull spit.
They're the last remnant of the idea that actually, yes,
Listen,
we can pass laws that ban things that we consider
Paul,
wrong.
I grew up white trash, man. I grew up white trash. We talk in cuss words. We use the F word like commas.
All right. Well, we are broadcasting, just so you know, we're live from the great state of Arkansas. And over the weekend, I guess on Friday, I kind of mentioned this. There was, you had President Trump saying, hey, we're going to, and I'm paraphrasing here because I think this happened also over the weekend, we're going to obliterate Iran. And then we heard that he was open, for peace negotiations, and the markets were just doing all of these different things. But let's start with the most current, and then we'll kind of work our way back from that. The first thing, hang on one second, because Paul forgot to reset his camera here, so we're going to make sure Rob is in there. Okay, so here's the deal. He said this: I am pleased to report, this was this morning, I am pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had, over the last 2 days, very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East. Based on the tenor and tone of these in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, which will continue throughout the week, I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period, subject to the success of our ongoing meetings and discussions. Thank you for your attention in this matter.
At 6:06 a.m.
Yeah, well, this is Twitter. This is the Twitter
X.
post.
It was X, but then they share it.
Yeah.
Oh, did he share that to his actual Twitter? Because he doesn't do a whole lot on Twitter.
I believe this was just.
It was an X post.
Truth Social, and then somebody
his handle's the same.
So anyway, this happened because President Trump had threatened to go after the energy sector of Iran and basically just take away all of
take them out.
Everything, which would have significant civilian. There would be significant civilian suffering, if not casualties, if that were to take place, because Iran is also threatening to take out Israel's desalination plants, which is where they get their water.
Sure.
I mean, it's really getting to a point
where
it
would be detrimental. Yeah. If he went that route, it would be detrimental to the country of Iran.
Yeah.
I mean,
not just the leadership, but
let's
people
just
that
be
live
honest.
there.
The country would suffer.
So then we get this. It's like, okay, great. This is fantastic news. As somebody who is anti-war, this is great news. And And so then earlier today on that news, or later today on that news, President Trump is asked, okay, tell us more about these negotiations, and he says this.
Who is Steve Witkoff speaking with, Mr. President?
A top person. Don't forget, we've wiped out the leadership phase 1, phase 2, and largely phase 3. But we're dealing with the man who I believe is the most respected and the leader. It's a little tough. We've wiped out everybody.
Keep killing everybody.
No, not the Supreme Leader. We don't. Well, nobody heard of the second Supreme Leader, the Son.
Are these direct?
We have not heard from the Son. Every once in a while you'll see a statement made, but we haven't. We don't know if he's living. But the people that seem to be running it, and they seem that based on really fact, because things they've said have taken place.
Mr. President,
Again,
Mr. President, I know you deployed.
because I don't want him to be killed. Okay, I don't want him to be killed.
Mr. President, you deployed.
Okay, now that's kind of it's an incredible statement. Saying I'm not going to tell you who I'm negotiating with because I don't want them to be killed.
Well, because if let's just take it at face value, he is negotiating with someone of power who, at least in their own mind, believes that they are in charge,
right,
quote unquote. So he believes that he is negotiating with the big dog, whoever it is at this point, who has, brave. I'm going to tell you something. Ain't nobody braver than somebody who signs up to be. I'll be the next Ayatollah. Let me be the next one. I'm like, you did.
Yeah.
So like we want to talk about bravery, but those guys are pretty brave. But anyway, like whoever he's negotiating with, I mean, he's not a fool. Donald Trump is not a fool. I mean, you can say whatever you want to about him. He's crass. He's this. He's that. I mean, I don't know that he gets played very often. I would say there's probably some deep state behind the scenes playing him in a lot of respects, and that's a whole other rabbit hole that we could go down, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, he's a situation where, I mean, come on, like there's clearly, you just think of the Lindsey Grahams of the world, right?
Yeah.
You think Lindsey Graham at this stage of the game wants peace? No, he went on the Sunny Shows yesterday and was saying we got to do another Iwo Jima.
Yeah,
we can take Karg Island, and who knows? Maybe there's still an attempt to do that. But Iwo Jima again, 26,000 American casualties to take Iwo Jima, and people are saying that and our Marines are moving into position, and again, ground troops is, in my opinion, a disaster. I mean, this is I don't want American casualties for this.
Go away brings up a great point that when we want to talk about like their nuclear capabilities, that's one thing, but what about their long distance, long range ballistic missiles and the capability that you had with this artillery that is within this terrorist nation? They are the sponsors of terrorism. Yeah. And Go Away in the comments there was talking about how essentially, I mean, even many European countries are within their range. Now, could they get it to the United States? No, I don't know. But
no. This is new news. So over the weekend, let me see if I can find that post. Well, here's one, but this is just NATO saying they can't confirm. But over the weekend, there was a missile that was launched. Let me just read you this story. NATO Secretary General. Now, whether you believe NATO or not, but Mark Rutte has said that the military alliance cannot confirm Israel's claim that missiles allegedly targeting the UK-U.S. base on Diego Garcia last week were fired by Iran. But that was a headline that we heard in Western media all over, which, to your point, Rob, if true, confirms that their capability was a much larger circle than what initially thought, meaning putting a lot of Europe in that.
Take the nuclear out of it,
right?
Like what is their blast radius?
And so, but here's my problem, because I saw those posts and I saw everyone saying, see, they are more. It's less of a nuclear threat, and of course that is now kind of changing the terms. Although President Trump in his State of the Union address did say that people are in danger, so I don't want to take that away from him.
Well, and I don't think that nuclear has to be the red line.
Right.
It is.
But my point is,
intent.
I'm just frustrated as a journalist. Just like any war, it just seems like there is nothing that I read in Western media that I almost can't find the complete opposite in a different publication.
Yeah.
Right. And so that makes things very difficult because I'm not naive to sit here and say that there's not an interest to lie, and I also don't trust the American media at all. I don't trust them on domestic. I don't trust them to tell me the truth about domestic issues, and I don't likewise. I'm not going to trust them to tell me the truth about international geopolitical, especially when we're talking about the defense contractors that back Lindsey Graham. I mean, there is a lot of money on the line here. This isn't just about geopolitical alignment. I mean, people make a lot of money off of war. That's always been the case, and that will always be the case. My point is I can just, you give me a headline, I can find you another one that says something else, and then it's just and that's, I'm extremely frustrated by that.
I think I agree with you, Paul, in a lot of respects on that stuff. And then, I mean, like let's just go through these. Let's go through some of these regime changes, and the most prominent one that I would say in our lifetime was the taking out of Saddam Hussein. Right, and you could say, okay, well, Saddam Hussein was an evil, sadistic bastard.
Oh yeah,
right. Assassinated people at the dinner table and then kept eating. Right. I mean, this is the kind of dude. This is the kind of dude that we're dealing with, and we saw that that's who this human being was because we were both adults while his reign was coming.
Well, I mean, we were told that again.
Well, I agree.
Right.
I agree. I have no video evidence of him
And
assassinating people there, but I can tell you this. I mean, he was a pretty ruthless dictator.
I don't think that's disputed by real. I don't think anyone can dispute that he.
Sure.
But that's what dictators do. That's what heads of state do. Heads of state have people killed.
But once he was taken out of power, what do we see in the Middle East?
Completely destabilized everything.
Complete mass chaos.
And he didn't have weapons of mass destruction.
So I look at the Iranian sort of, hubbub, whatever you want to call this thing.
Yeah.
I look at this conflict through the lens of, was it the right thing? And I will, readily admit that I don't have the intel. I mean, my gosh. It would
none
be
of us do.
naive for us to sit there and say that we have this intel. But I can say this: if he was not taken out, which let me throw this one at you. Sorry, let me just dovetail off of this. Do you think that the Ayatollah was in control of Iran? 86 years old, whatever the hell he was.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I would say for the most part, yeah. I mean, I do think a lot of their military was decentralized. I think they were expecting some sort of attack, and so they figured out a way to, when he got killed, their military could obviously still function in some capacity, right? Because they started firing missiles at everyone.
Yeah, and I could be totally wrong on this, Paul, but he gave me Joe Biden vibes.
Okay, yeah. I see where you're going with that.
He gave me that he's not really in control. There's some generals, there's some whoever, whatever the hierarchy of power is there.
Yeah.
There's someone else that is in control of the state sponsorship of this terrorism. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and say that dude is innocent. I don't think he was.
No.
Nor do I believe that Joe Biden was innocent of anything. The dude still signed papers. The dude still allowed this, really treason. I mean, it was treason. When you, Joe Biden was elected, okay? Well, quote unquote elected.
Yeah.
Let's go with that one.
80 million votes.
81. And they disappeared for Kamala.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, so Joe Biden was quote unquote elected, but no one knew who was running the country for 4 years. We didn't know it. And I can sit here and honestly say today that all of the problems that were created under Joe Biden were not Joe Biden's fault. Although he was the captain of the ship, his deck hands and all of that stuff, those were the ones that were in control of things. So I look at this situation in Iran as sort of the same way. dude, he's the Ayatollah, he's this whatever. But I believe that there's some people that were in control of that. And all of these people that are stepping up to take the Ayatollah, like his son and all of that stuff, like these people so they killed the second in command, and then they've seriously maimed or killed the third in command here. I don't think that these people are in control of Iran. Whatever is festering underneath the surface there, I believe that the United States is trying to take them out. And someone within that has to be involved in these negotiations, or everything that Trump started the day with is absolutely moot.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Now, it's good to note that Iran immediately came out and said, we're not talking to anybody.
Well, they're trying to save face,
right.
So I don't believe they're shit.
I'm just saying, like, that again, this goes back to how frustrating everything is, about trying to get to the truth.
They're liars.
They immediately come out and say, we're not talking to anybody, and they basically thumb their nose at it. And then at the same time, so President Trump says, hey, we're going to cease our operations for 5 days. And then at the same time, the Israeli Air Force began a new wave of strikes targeting infrastructure across the Iranian.
An hour after.
Yeah. So the point is,
Israel,
it's going to be difficult. Like, there are competing interests in who wants peace and who doesn't want peace. And then again, this could all be, you never know. All of this could just be bluster to get our forces in place to try a ground war, which again is the last thing that we need. Lindsey Graham. Just so you know, like, don't do what Lindsey Graham wants.
Lindsey Graham is sitting around
if you're on the side of
masturbating
Lindsey
right now.
Graham, I'm sorry. Like, count me out. All right, count me as a dissenter. Now, at the same time, this is a post from the 21st of March, which would have been on Saturday. I'm going to give you this timeline here. So this is how frustrating I've been as a journalist trying to wrap my head around this. And again, I'm kind of throwing in the towel in terms of all I can do is just report to you guys data points at this point, and people can make up their own mind, and that's fine. President Trump over the last 36 hours, I don't want to do a ceasefire with Iran. That was on Friday. Then at 5:15, the U.S. is considering winding down the war with Iran. So that was like 2 hours later. Then today, which would have been on Saturday, Axios reports that Trump is planning peace talks. And then we had the post, I guess, on Sunday, which was if Iran doesn't open the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours, the U.S. will obliterate Iran's power plant. And then we got the announcement today, which is like, okay, the 48-hour deadline no longer applies. Now we have 5 days.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to keep track of all this. Now, then here's this other timeline. This is the timeline from this morning. At 7:04 a.m. Eastern today, President Trump said the U.S. and Iran have had productive discussions to end the war in Iran. Mm-hmm. By 7:10 a.m., the S&P 500 surged 240 points, adding $2 trillion in market cap. 27 minutes later, Iran completely denied all of President Trump's claims and said that there had been no contact with the U.S. By 8 a.m. Eastern, the S&P 500 had fallen 120 points, erasing $1 trillion in market cap. That's $3 trillion swing market cap in 56 minutes just in the S&P 500. What is happening here? Now, to figure out what is happening here, you can go to Unusual Whales, okay? And they wrote this. Just 5 minutes before Trump's announcement to halt the attacks on Iran, massive trades reportedly hit the market. In one move, $1.5 billion in S&P 500 futures was bought, while $192 million in oil futures was sold. These orders were 4 to 6 times larger than anything else at the time. The trader seemingly made huge gains. Unusual, which is not bad from Unusual Whales, which is a good follow, by the way. So then this other guy tries to break it down, named Bark on X. He says, 5 minutes before President announced a halt to attacks on Iran, someone placed a $1.5 billion bet on stocks going up and dumped $192 million in oil. 5 minutes. These trades were 4 to 6 times larger than anything else in the entire market. Whoever did this wasn't guessing. You don't risk $1.5 billion on a hunch. There was zero public indication this announcement was coming. No leaks, no press, nothing. The only people who knew were in the room when the decision was made. Someone in that room picked up a phone, and within minutes, they made more money than most Americans will earn in 1,000 lifetimes. Again, this is just an allegation, but it does appear that some insider trading was going on at a bare minimum. Whether it came from inside the room, who knows?
Somebody's got the
in a
intel.
single trade, on a war that cost you $4 plus gallon of gas and $16 billion. American citizens funded this war. Politicians are profiting from it. Anyway, it is what it is. I'm just letting you guys know that while I'm trying to make sense of what exactly is true, what exactly is not, I am not naive. Like, when it comes to war, everybody has an incentive to control the information to their advantage.
Yeah.
Okay? Call it deception, call it sleight of hand, whatever you want to call it. I don't really care. It just is what it is. I'm not naive, and I don't think any of us should be naive either. A lot of money is changing hands over this.
Okay, so for those of you, may not necessarily follow, all you have to have is that. Let me explain just what just happened, and then right underneath that, literally everything that we're talking about is in that one sentence.
Yeah,
there.
5 minutes before the announcement.
Yes, 5 minutes before President Trump announced the halt of attacks on Iran, someone placed a $1.5 billion bet on stocks going up, and they immediately dumped $192 million in oil. Why are those two things linked? 1.5 billion stocks going up, right? You buy low and then you sell those suckers high.
Yep.
But why the oil? Because if we cease operations in the Middle East, oil prices will follow and shoot down. So they're dumping them. Somebody knew what Trump was about to post.
And you probably, who knows, like, once it dumps and, in 4 days, if there's no peace, you buy back into oil and you see it go up. So when people say, especially the younger generation, when they say the system is rigged,
that's the very definition of the system.
About it, man.
Like that is some whoever. Let me just say this: whoever is in that circle there that is giving this information to whoever placed this, a bet, essentially, like was almost like a sure thing. So it's hard to call it a bet. But whoever did this, whatever company, I really wish I had the same connections.
Boy, don't you? Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Like where you could just take your life savings and throw it into the stock market, and then 5 minutes later, the president tweets something that makes you millions of dollars. It's just what we're dealing with. So yeah, the system is rigged. It's against us average Joes, and we have to suck up and take it. We have to bend over the table, and we have to take it. There is no other. We just do it. What are we gonna do? We gonna go. You got the president's phone number?
Yeah, no, I don't.
Hey, Mr. Trump, President Trump, somebody in your circle is giving the goods to somebody on Wall Street. I saw a movie about it. Michael Douglas was in it in the 80s.
Oh, was it Greed?
No, it was called Wall Street.
Oh, it was Wall
Street. And what did he say? Like, here's this information, right? Charlie Sheen played a young, was aspirational stockbroker, and he wanted to get in good with Michael Douglas because that was the guy, right? And he basically told him, I don't need this. I don't need your projections. I need a sure thing. Mm-hmm. And he wanted the dirt on a company, like a company's about to go down or the company's about to get an approval that no one knows about. It was the very definition of a person who built his wealth, Michael Douglas, through insider trading. That stuff happens all day, every day.
Yeah, I know it does. I know it does with Congress and everything else, but it's just fascinating to me how it's happening with something like this. And we're talking about people's lives here too. We're literally talking about life and death because we're talking about war, and nobody loves war more. It's arguable point. I mean, maybe I can think of one person who loves war more than Lindsey Graham. The devil. But
I was like, who? It's got to be somebody good. It's got to be a big one.
That's maybe. But this was Lindsey Graham goes to the Sunday shows to exercise his.
He couldn't get on there fast enough. I guarantee it.
His bloodlust. And this is what he told.
Graham has been obliterated,
Dear
and they're running out of money. So here's what I tell President Trump. Keep it up for a few more weeks. Take Carg Island, where all of the resources they have to produce oil. Control that island. Let this regime die on a vine.
Is this going to, though, take Carg Island? Is it going to involve U.S. troops on the ground? Let me just read you something from The Atlantic. Does an assessment on that. They say U.S. troops may well take Carg Island. We believe in their ability to do so, but only to endure ballistic missile strikes, drone attacks, petrochemical smoke, all without a reliable means of obtaining logistical support.
Now think of it. Look at this statement. That's insane to me. So if we sent troops in, they're going to endure ballistic missile strikes. Now, why? Because everybody's got satellites, and everybody can see ground forces now coming from a mile away. There is one of the reasons why, by the way, a lot of people don't even know this, like, we don't fund our army the way we did for the last 20, 30 years with Afghanistan. We're funding our Navy and our Air Force for a reason. The idea, for example, like if we were to get in a ground war between China, there's no surprise attack. That doesn't happen.
They would see us coming a mile away.
For weeks.
Yeah.
They see you coming. So it's not, this is not, we are not in World War II. We are not, and that's the problem with Lindsey Graham here, because he's going to mention Iwo Jima. Everything from in his generation is now, we use World War II and the historical events surrounding World War II to justify everything now.
What was the difference with World War II? Let's talk about...
Huge difference.
Who? Okay, Norm Macdonald talks about it the best.
Oh, yeah, the German joke.
Yes, he goes, listen... No, this country doesn't scare me. This country doesn't scare me. The only country that scares me is Germany. Why? Because they went to war with the world, right? They literally wanted to take over the war. Not once. I'm sorry, the world. Not once, but twice. Okay? Especially that second time they had Adolf Hitler, and this dude was trying to take over the world. And you are comparing the United States reaction to something that happened in World War II based off of what's happening in Iran? Shut the hell up! And you are crazy, Lindsey Graham.
He is. I mean, it's absolutely nuts.
He is spitting in the face of World War II veterans.
Look, not only will they get hit by ballistic missiles, and again, this is also the Atlantic, so take that with a grain of salt. But drone attacks, yes, obviously, and petrochemical smoke. Petrochemical smoke.
Sounds pretty dangerous.
All without a reliable means of obtaining logistical support, because unfortunately, Carg Island is in a place that's a long way from our supply lines. Okay, so
I don't even know where Carg Island is.
I'll pull it up here in just a second. Let's listen to more of Lindsey here.
Support. The result could be a grinding war of attrition. They talk about how far away they would be from resupply.
I'm sort of tired of all this armchair quarterbacking. This has been an amazing military operation. God bless the.
He's tired of armchair quarterbacking.
Yeah,
but
don't question me.
He is the armchair quarterback. He is he's the guy sending men to die and has his entire career. He is the armchair.
Paul, he's the crappy ass boss that tells you, that does everything wrong, that does everything all crazy, but tells you not to question him. Don't question me. I know about this. This man is a warmonger. He is the definition. I haven't looked at a Webster's dictionary since they went woke. I haven't looked at them. But if you want to find a Webster's dictionary that has any sort of pictures in it, and if there's not a picture of Lindsey Graham next to a warmonger, then it is a misrepresentation. It is ridiculous. This man there's no other reason, Paul. There's no other reason. I'm getting pissed off. There's no other reason for his just insatiable war thirst than this man is being paid. It's the same stuff that we saw with Ukraine when the Bidens and I'm going to say the Bidens, not Joe Biden.
Yes.
But the Bidens were sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. There's been reporting out there that they received at a minimum of $10 million from that money, which means that they received taxpayer dollars back. That is corruption in the highest sense.
Well,
and you think that the Bidens were the first to ever do that stuff? It is absolutely Lindsey Graham.
I mean, you're really just being discriminatory towards visual artists because, everybody knows Hunter Biden is a gifted painter.
He is a gifted painter,
right.
And honestly, we would be honored to have his piece hanging here in the studio.
You might want to rephrase that.
Honored, I say.
So here is Carg Island. Okay, so we're gonna zoom out here to where you can kind of understand logistically. This is what Lindsey Graham wants us to take. There's Iran, okay, to the east, and this is. You see how far up the Gulf this is, the Persian Gulf. So you tell me this is what Shannon Bream is talking about, a war of attrition. This is literally, here's Tehran. This is literally on their back door. Okay, this is what Lindsey Graham wants us to take, and I think it's appropriate to compare it to Iwo Jima, because it would cause
it would take that same sort of effort.
Yeah, that mentality, which by the way, the American people do not have the stomach for.
You know what it reminds me of, Paul? It reminds me of 300. Have you guys seen the movie 300? Right, he purposefully chooses this narrow strait. Call it a death trap, a death tunnel, if you want to call it that. Tell me that's different than Iran sitting here saying, "Come on up here, try to take this island." Lindsey Graham is absolutely insane.
Here's
I'd
the
punch
rest of
that.
it.
I'd punch this man.
But it's a difference when we talk about troops on the ground.
I trust the Marines, not that guy. I trust DOD. We got 2 Marine expeditionary units sailing to this island. We did Iwo Jima. We can do this. The Marines, my money is always on the Marines. I don't know if you take the island or you blockade the island, but I know this. The day we control that island, this regime, this terrorist regime, has been weakened. It will die on a vine. And here's what I want to do. I want to.
So he cites.
This is every soundbite
I know.
that you ever
fear. I don't understand why. I mean, I don't understand why somebody in the administration. Obviously, they don't have control over Lindsey Graham.
Sending them out here,
There's literally no world you'll ever convince me that like Susie Wiles and President Trump think Lindsey Graham is doing a good job selling this war to the American people. Like, there's literally no world where that is happening. So he just does whatever he wants.
This douchebag is on all the Sunday shows, and he does it. And he's really terrible in an election year, which is what he's dealing with right now.
Well, he's going on Sean Hannity just like he did 6 years ago. Please.
Pitch in $5. We can't have this stuff. And I'm like, you know what?
So
this primary needs to go a different way.
Matt Walsh reminded everybody that Lindsey Graham, who for some reason has been the White House top spokesman for the war, went on TV and invoked Iwo Jima while calling for more escalation in Iran. Iwo Jima, of course, involved 26,000 U.S. casualties. It's extremely troubling that Graham has so much influence with this administration and has been so empowered to speak on its behalf. He's not conservative. He's not America first. He's never done a single thing in his career to advance the interests of actual American citizens, and he clearly wants this war to continue indefinitely and doesn't care how many Americans die in the process. He should have no influence and no say over anything. He's one of the worst people in all of Congress, and that includes Democrats. It wasn't just Matt Walsh that sounded this alarm. We also have. Go ahead.
Real quickly, I just want to say this: Matt Walsh for the win again. I mean, he keeps saying what rational conservatives, America First conservatives, have been saying for the longest time. Do I disagree with Lindsey Graham when he says he trusts the Marines over this potentially false intel over here, or this or that over there? Like, I don't think that he's wrong there. Like, give me an American soldier over any other soldier in the world, any day of the world. But why should they have their lives at stake? Why? to take this island because Lindsey Graham, a person who has never served in the military, tells
he may have served. I can't remember. I need to double check.
he never
that.
talks about his service,
Yeah,
so
that's true.
it must be pretty.
It seems like I heard something recently because I remember thinking, I thought he didn't serve.
Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I can tell you that this warmonger is wanting to send our Marines into a death trap, in my opinion.
Wonder what Lindsey Graham thinks about the old "don't ask, don't tell" policy, if he did in fact serve. Sorry, I had to go there. All right, so then you've got Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna reposting this exact clip that we just played
Most
for you.
gorgeous woman in Congress, if you ask me.
She says, "I am deeply upset at the lack of respect for life Senator Lindsey Graham is displaying when he talks about our troops. He's acting as if they are expendable cattle."
Yeah.
Yes, he's acting as if they're cannon fodder. "This is unacceptable and dark. There were over 26,000 American casualties at Iwo Jima." Next up, Congresswoman from South Carolina, Nancy Mace, who's running for governor.
Running for governor, hope she wins.
Lindsey Graham wants American troops on the ground in Iran, not his kids, yours. Not for freedom, but for the price of oil. Unless he's suiting up for Karg Island himself, he should sit down. So he has been uniformly mocked and denounced for what he is saying. By the way, another Nancy Mace tweet that I found interesting.
Hold up. I stand corrected. Apparently, he served for 33 years in the United States Air Force Reserve.
See, I thought he had served. I just,
Okay.
I
Well,
thought he had.
I do not want to besmirch anyone's service, but apparently he has no problem sending American soldiers into the teeth.
Yeah.
And I respect his service. Absolutely. I will always respect that. I don't respect his opinion on this.
No, I mean, and again, he has no children. I mean, I don't care. He served 30 years or whatever. His record is just one of callousness towards our soldiers. I didn't realize it was the Air
Air Force Reserve.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Just move on. Nancy
What's
Mace.
up, fly boys?
Great movie. Great movie.
All right, Nancy Mace. Iran was an imminent threat. President Trump did what 40 years of feckless foreign policy could not, she writes. He took the threat seriously and acted forcibly, as he always does. The initial bombings were completely justified, she says, on those narrow terms. But I do not support troops on the ground. We don't need the same neocons who got us into Iraq, sending our sons and daughters into Iran. Now, this would be... you might consider this a middle ground. I think you could. I think you can firmly say Nancy Mace is taking a middle ground position on this, saying we should have done what we were right to do what we did, but this is getting out of hand, right? Then there's others on the right. They're like, we should have never done this. It's not justified. And then you have those who are like, no, we need, like Lindsey Graham and others.
Yeah.
And by the way, those with Lindsey, those on the side of Lindsey Graham on this, they would take a comment like Nancy Mace is making right here, and they would, they would just trash this as like, you can't even have this opinion. I feel very.
It's too middle of the road.
Well, I've seen multiple people do this. I've seen multiple people make the comparison that the pro-warers are feeling very similar to COVID. Like anybody who's dissenting, shut up, wear your mask, get the vaccine. I've also seen it on the other side of people claiming that those who are anti-war are like just like the people during COVID. Shut up, get your mask, whatever. I don't know where you fall on this, but it does seem many people they do want a totalitarian mindset of you have to. It's just like what Eric says.
Yeah.
Eric's been saying this. It's got to be one way or the other. If Eric were here today, he would probably, I'm assuming he would really agree with Nancy Mace's take on this.
Somebody was asking earlier where Eric is. We believe he's in surgery. He's fine. He's a surgical tech. So,
yeah.
Like he sells surgical equipment.
Yes.
All that stuff.
He's not having surgery done on him.
He's in the OR.
Yeah.
But he's not.
He's got a really cool
not getting
job.
cut on.
He's got a really cool job, I think.
I think so.
Like doctor needs a piece of equipment.
He's like, listen, I've got this. I got this metal
what do you
thing
want?
here.
Yeah. I like it.
You know. Anyway.
Then we have
Just another jack.
what? We get a funny
Oh,
comment.
the comment section is wild. People like Bad Moon. He's awesome.
Yeah, to my previous point. This is why I pulled the Cernovich thing, the clip here. When Lindsey Graham goes crazy on the Sunday shows, arguing for WW2 level ground invasions, no one calls him divisive or claims he is driving the base, even though such a deployment would be electoral suicide. Interesting thought. Then we have this. Now
I don't know that that's not. I don't know that that's not been a negative so far.
You mean
because I've not seen anything. I've not. Has anybody been cheering, Lindsey Graham recently?
No. He's just pointing out.
Is that what Cernovich is saying?
He's saying that nobody says Lindsey Graham is divisive. It feels like on X that most people say the anti-war crowd are being divisive, or the people, and because it was last week during this time, I think we were talking about Joe Kent's resignation, and everybody, everybody had a really strong opinion about it, right? By the way, Joe Kent is now out there posting tweets, encouraging President Trump to find peace, and he's saying, I believe, this is what's interesting. Joe Kent is now saying, and I don't have it pulled up, but he's now saying, hey, this is good news that President Trump has paused for 5 days. On the news that Trump is trying to find peace, he says, I hope President Trump can get it done. Mm-hmm. This will require having some control over the attacks that Israel can produce, right? And wouldn't you know it, more people are attacking him, calling him a fraud and a phony, for resigning from the Trump administration, but also supporting him in the peace process. And it's just like, I guess I don't know what somebody's motivations are, and this goes for like so many politicians and so many influencers and everything else. And this would be I would be fine with all of this if we were not talking about human lives.
Yeah,
I guess that's my thing is. We're talking about human lives here, folks. Like, instead, we want to pile on and we want to say, hey, this person in our movement, a part of this right-wing coalition, is actually a bad guy, and never trust him, never listen to him again. This person's okay, and then this person says something we sort of disagree with, like maybe that Nancy Mace comment that's in the middle.
Yeah,
dismiss her if she. And I just am like, hang on a second, guys. Like, can we just talk about? We're talking about our U.S. soldiers' lives hang in the balance right now in the next few days about what's going to happen. Because what Lindsey Graham said is correct. They are sending Marines towards that island.
Which, to me, is disheartening.
Sorry, you've been on camera the whole time. I haven't even been. I thought, sorry.
Well, so, everybody gets to see my reaction.
I apologize. Apologies.
That's fine.
I got worked up and I didn't operate my board correctly.
That's fine. So I'm sure they're okay with me, like, oh, hey, Paul. And then me, like, they literally get to see how many times I try to jump in and cut you off.
Yeah. Shut up, Paul. Shut up.
I got something to say. But I look at it through the lens of I believe that the majority of the country. This is my opinion. I believe that the majority of the country is with Nancy Mace on this. And Nancy Mace looks at it and says, hey, I'm glad that this terrorist regime was, bombed into oblivion. I don't want ground troops. I don't want the Lindsey Graham approach. I don't want, and it's interesting that they're from the same state, where that's, I don't know what the dynamic there is in South Carolina. Nancy Mace is South Carolina, right?
Correct.
Yes. So I don't know that, but I hope that she wins the governor's race. But suffice it to say, oh yeah, I see it on the screen there. Suffice it to say, I think that the majority of the country, or at least the conservative side, are on the Nancy Mace sort of thoughts of, man, we haven't heard anything good about Iran. You bombed them, you took them out, and you haven't sent any ground troops in there. I'm okay with this, although we have had the loss of American soldiers' lives.
Yep. But who knows how high that number really is?
Sure. There's that. But I think I maybe I'm wrong here, but I believe that the majority of the country is there. And wow. What I look at it and say, what are your outliers, right? I think your outliers are the America first, no intervention. We are literally only going to deal with our shores, okay? And then the other outliers are the Lindsey Grahams. Bomb them to hell, kill them all, ground troops if necessary, all of that stuff. I think, especially on the conservative side, I think that those are the two extremes. Now, maybe you're more leaning toward one way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Certainly. I'm not trying to say we're all right smack dab in the middle, but I can say that the Lindsey Grahams of the world are not the ones who are sending their children to join the military.
That's exactly right.
Right. They're not the ones with their kids that are serving at Fort Bragg or wherever. They're looking at it through the lens of, is this really necessary?
Yeah.
My son or daughter is in the military. I don't want them to deployed to this sandstorm of death. Just don't want it. So I wish Lindsey Graham would shut the hell up.
Topo 1956 on the LFA chat. Lindsey was a JAG officer who I don't consider putting their lives on the line. Then we have Bad Moon writing, JAG officers have gotten more warriors killed than any other job in the military. They spend most of their time protecting the enemy. Yikes. That's interesting.
I'm not a military person. I was too fat to join the military. I'll say that. I tried to join the military. My best friend joined the military, and I was going to join with him, and I would have been stationed in Germany, of all places, but I was too fat. And there's no other thing there. I signed up, and they said, nope, you too fat.
We had another.
I've lost weight since then.
We had another commenter saying no boots on the ground. Just whatever you do, don't put good boots on the ground. But
yeah.
I've lost that comment. But I wanted to wrap this topic up, and I wanted to say one more thing that I do find interesting. Congresswoman Nancy Mace, again, she writes, bombing Iran with one hand and buying Iran oil with the other. Here's another story that really hasn't gotten a lot of play, and that's the fact that I guess 3 days ago, this headline hit Reuters and other outlets. U.S. allows 30-day sale of Iran oil at sea in bid to tame prices. So the Strait of Hormuz is closed. The way I understand it, the Strait of Hormuz is closed for the most part to U.S. and our allies. It is still open for whoever Iran wants, China or whoever Iran wants to sell to.
Why are you bringing Reuters articles up here?
Well, there's other ones that are out there. I just did a quick
maybe
Google.
It's correct, but it's
well, it's a fact. I mean, the Trump administration waived sanctions on purchase of Iranian oil at sea 30 days on Friday. So there's these tankers. There's these Iranian apparently ships that are already at sea. So they're saying, okay, we'll let you go ahead and do it. And it is just interesting that this was allowed,
Could it be that that's more about our partners such as Japan, right? Who just made
it's definitely
85% of their oil comes from
it's 100% for people for the oil price not just for us here at the pump. It's 100% for maybe this will give relief. We'll get oil to our allies.
It's asinine to me. It's asinine to me, Paul, that we pump enough oil to be a chief exporter of oil. We have enough oil in the United States to satisfy us and export to other countries. Why the hell are we dictated by Iranian conflicts and the Strait of Hormuz being shut down? It makes no sense to me.
Well, it would be really bad for the rest of the world. But America could ban the exporting of oil right now, and we would probably enjoy very low prices eventually. You know what I mean? If we just said, hey, you're not selling to the highest bidder, we're going to close off course. We threatened to do that, and then we said we're not going to do that. Or there were reports when all this happened.
Seems tyrannical to me.
Well, it would really hurt the rest of the world.
Yeah.
In a big way. And considering the fact that we're instigators in all of this, but I do find it interesting. But the larger point here is just how energy is such a big deal, and I'll never forget when President Trump, he goes into NATO in his first term and he just chastises Germany and says, wait, NATO is to protect you guys from Russia.
Yeah.
And
you're allowing.
You're giving Russia money for their pipeline. And then, of course, the CIA / Joe Biden / Volodymyr Zelensky blew up their pipeline.
Whoever blew it up.
Yeah, it wasn't Russia that blew up their own pipeline.
Why would they do that?
But it is an interesting scenario. I'm just pointing it out that it doesn't make a lot of sense, but at the same time, let's just be honest about what this is. If Donald Trump wants to continue to go to war with Iran and wants to continue to allow Israel to go to war with Iran, there is a balancing act of keeping our economy somewhat healthy and actually also taking out the, quote, the enemy, right? Like that is just a fact, because if the economy were to go to hell in a handbasket tomorrow and we had $7 a gallon of gas, midterms don't matter. I mean, it would get ugly really quick. You know what I'm saying?
You're going to get a lot of negative thoughts, feelings, and all of that stuff going through the conservative party.
Oh my gosh! Well, it just becomes a point where it's like it's difficult. It's hard to defend. It's indefensible, as a matter of fact, right?
Yeah.
So that's the balancing act that's going on right now. And likewise, if the war doesn't end soon, do you have the ability to recover? Does the news cycle change? And I'm now coming at this from a strictly political standpoint. That this is what politicians. There was a clip the other day of Stephen Miller. I love Stephen Miller. I know people can't stand Stephen Miller. But
he's a bulldog.
NBC News got a clip of him, and I should have pulled it, but I saw it right before we came on the air.
I hate him.
NBC News got a clip of him, kind of sitting beside himself while Trump was off camera talking about the war in Iran. And as soon as Trump started mentioning the war in Iran and this and that and the other, he just kind of lowered his head and he took a deep breath and just let out a giant sigh. And the body language was pretty clear. He's frustrated with this whole situation because Stephen Miller is Mr. Domestic Policy. He's a bulldog, but he's a domestic policy bulldog. He's a guy that not only wants the border to stay closed, he wants more mass deportations. He's a guy that wants this, H-1B visa scam to go away. Like, here's a guy that wants, at least according to what he says, he wants the demographic replacement of America to be stopped and reversed. And a lot of that stuff is put on hold, or at least it could be it's been put on hold while everybody's focused on this.
Pretty much all of Donald Trump's domestic agenda is on hold right now, with the exception of the elephant in the room, which is TSA.
Yes.
Right. And we're going to talk about that in the later half of the show here. But
I've got it next up, actually. That's a perfect segue.
Yeah. And so I think that Donald Trump's, his entire domestic agenda, like the Save America Act, is now being put on the back burner due to this Iranian conflict and the issues at airports and the long lines and all of that. And I think I want to use the word derailing, that it's derailing. Now, I don't believe that the conservatives can cave, because if they allow TSA,
of course not,
and all that stuff, to be funded, then ICE and all of that, there will be no future funding for that whatsoever. And it's surprising to me, and honestly, Dana Bash called out Hakeem Jeffries, right, on her show. I guess it was, I don't know if she has a Sunday show, but I can't remember. Regardless, I saw a clip of it, and she was essentially saying, why would you agree to section off TSA and other parts? What am I forgetting? Like the Coast Guard and all of this stuff. Like, why would you section off those if that is your greatest negotiation tool? Mm-hmm. And it's because, and I would say that Hakeem was like, we never closed the government down for leverage. And I was just like, did he just say that with a straight face? That's the most asinine thing. Every time the government has been shut down, has always been about who has leverage and who doesn't. right? And Hakeem Jeffries went on there. So it was interesting that Dana Bash was criticizing him for their proposal to section that stuff off, because neither side really wants to section that stuff off. If the Democrats do it, they'll never get, in my opinion, they'll never get reforms against ICE. The government will figure out, Donald Trump, the administration will figure out different ways to pay ICE. They'll figure out a different way to fund the Department of Homeland Security. They're not going to make concessions about that stuff. And when you want to talk about the concessions, we can go down that route here. But I don't want to derail it. But they've agreed to the body cams. They've agreed to it. Conservatives have agreed to the body cams for ICE agents.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, it's only good.
What?
Sorry, it's only going to vindicate the ICE agents.
That's exactly right.
Which is exactly what happened when they were like, "We've got to get police officers to wear body cams" all those years ago. Yeah, and it vindicates the police officers.
It vindicated the police officers
90% of the time.
A lot of times. Do you have some douchebags out there? Yeah,
they should be caught. But most of the time, it's like, I mean, the biggest thing that police body cams accomplished was confirming that stereotypes exist.
Yes.
Because people reinforce them every single day. I'm sorry to interrupt.
And the other two issues that they want that should never be agreed to is they want masks off, and they want them to wear IDs. And you're just like, why? Why do you want that?
So that they can kill your whole family.
That is exactly why. And somebody would say, well, that's what our police officers do. They wear name badges, and they've got their badge number, and they don't wear masks and all that stuff. Yes, they do. SWAT teams.
Yeah.
People that are trying to hide their identity absolutely do. But a beat cop that's just pulling people over for speeding, they're not really at danger of being doxxed.
Yeah. Can you imagine if the rhetoric was, these traffic cops are fascists, and they're taking away my humanity. They're unpersoning me. Yeah, that would be the local police force's worst nightmare. But we don't have that kind of rhetoric.
And you have these stupid ass liberal states that are banning masks, and they say, well, you know, federal agents can't wear masks, and it's like, I'm pretty sure that there's something called the Commerce Clause that affects intra-state activities, right? And ICE falls under that, where ICE is a national organization, federal organization, and so it's not beholden to your state laws. But again, you cannot sit here and say to me, you cannot articulate a reason other than you think it's scary. You cannot articulate a reason that you want the masks off and them to be identified other than what we know is the true motive, so that you can dox them and ruin their lives.
That's exactly right. And put their family in danger. So on the airports and ICE, Vice President J.D. Vance wrote this on X. We've all seen the chaos unleashed by Democrats at airports across the country. It's preposterous, he says, that Chuck Schumer continues to hold TSA funding hostage. Thankfully, ICE will bring sanity to our airports starting tomorrow, but it's far past time for Democrats to fund DHS. This was Vice President J.D. Vance's response to President Donald Trump, who said the radical left Democrats have hurt so many people with their vicious and uncaring ways. What they have done to the Department of Homeland Security, our fantastic TSA officers, and most importantly, the great people of our country, is an absolute disgrace. If the Democrats do not allow for just and proper security at our airports and elsewhere throughout the country, ICE will do the job far better than ever done before. The fascist Democrats will never protect America, but the Republicans will. Just like the radical left allowed millions of criminals to pour into our country through the ridiculous and dangerous open border policy, the Republicans closed it all down, and we now have the strongest border in American history. Likewise, I look forward to moving ICE in on Monday, and have already told them to get ready. No more waiting, no more games. President Donald Trump. So this was this now gave us headlines like this. Mm-hmm. We've got mask-free agents while they're at the airport.
He did ask them to take their masks off.
He did.
Right, because they're just there helping out TSA agents. They're not trying to arrest illegal immigrants. Although we were talking about in our group text, I would imagine that a few illegal immigrants canceled their flights today.
Yeah, I would. And we even have some footage of that happening. Hang on one second. This is, I think, at San Francisco, the airport there at San Francisco. I'm going to mute it because the liberals in San Francisco are dropping so many F-bombs. It's impossible. How dare you? How dare you? But this is San Francisco, ICE at the airport there. Federal agents arrested an illegal alien in San Francisco this morning while rabid Democrats lost their minds demanding agents' names and badge numbers. Enforcement is back. And so to your point, there she is. That is the lady being arrested there. And, it's just one of those things. It's it's illegal. I mean, we know that.
I mean, like, it's hard.
I know.
It's a tough situation. I mean, I get it. I don't know what this woman's story is.
Yeah, we have no idea. We have no idea.
She could just be going from A to B, but she also could have come in. She could be one of those individuals who came in and, the 4 years under Biden and just leached off the system, right? And received, $4,000 or $5,000 a month.
Yep, exactly.
3 hots and a cot.
Exactly. And so it is what it is. This is part of it. The border being open is what was extreme, not the solution. And that's the media is never going to report that. Ever.
When you're talking about zero over 10 months versus millions that came in 4 years, Trump said it best in the State of the Union. Like, you didn't need any new laws. You just needed a new president.
That's exactly
Although
right.
I wish they would codify all of his executive orders.
So
every single one of them.
I want to ask you a question because that something came to mind.
Away,
didn't really have a plan, but didn't plan to talk about this. But one of the other things that happened is that Elon Musk, in the midst of this, okay, so he's pledged, hey, maybe I'll just pay. Trump said, hey, I really appreciate that. That's a great idea.
Pay TSA.
Pay TSA. Like, I'll pay for the TSA salary so we can open the airports back up.
Well, the reason that the airports are a problem, as you know, is that these people are calling in sick because they're going to work at different jobs because they're trying to pay their bills.
Paid. Yeah.
They're trying to pay their rent. They're trying to pay their mortgage.
So Musk said that, and that's really good. I mean, in terms of just on its face, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
But I will say this as just a cautionary tale. Okay, I mean, I generally like Elon Musk, right? I don't trust anybody, but I generally like Elon Musk. But you and I, Rob, are our generation. We remember what airports were like, and I didn't fly a lot when I was young, but I remember vaguely what airports were like before September the 11th. And I think there's the younger generation has no idea.
Oh, sure.
They have no idea. And so, and it wasn't even after September 11th. It was actually, it didn't get bad until the underwear bomber. That's what it was.
Yeah.
You remember that?
That went on the plane with, there was the shoe bomber that had his shoes all, of course, those apparently never had a chance of being dead.
Yeah, was it the shoe bomber or the underwear bomber or both?
I think it's a combination. I think there were kith and kin, in my opinion, of that time frame.
Umar Farouk Abdul
2009
Mutala.
So look at when the shoe bomber was, So this was 2009.
Okay, so that's a little bit. No, I think that's about right. But okay, then the shoe bomber.
Yeah, the shoe bomber.
Richard Reed was the shoe bomber. That was. Let's see, Richard Reed shoes.
That was
FBI.
So that one was 2001. So that one was right after. That was right after September 11th, 2001. So I believe that was the inciting incident.
This was the inciting incident.
Yeah.
But it was the underwear bomber that allowed the TSA to stick their hands down our pants. It was.
Is that right?
Well, that's how I classify it.
Okay.
Because I was much more politically conscious in 2009. Matter that was the year I started in radio. than I was in 2000. What is this? Would you say 2? What is this?
Well,
2001.
Yeah, it was 2001, and this was like 3 months after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. That this dude goes on there with the shoes, and
December. So
yeah,
it would have been it was just months after it was. Yeah,
I can't believe I remembered that, but yes.
Well, so both of these incidents, okay, both this, but I'm telling you right now, this was the one where they were like Umar Farouk. It didn't even go off, or I guess it set his pants on fire. It was supposed to go off. He's going to blow himself up. And this was in Obama, and all of a sudden, we had to totally redo TSA, which was complete nonsense. Most of TSA is theater. It is not actual security. There's, if you really look into it, it's just to make us feel safe. But this is when they were like, okay, we're going to have to check. Well, because of the underwear, we're now going to we're going to grab your crotch, and then it wasn't too long after that. You know what we really need? We need pictures of everybody that walks on that plane naked. If we could just see them naked, and that's when they introduced the full body scanners. Okay, the younger generation doesn't understand what airports were like before this.
Yeah,
and the reason I say that is, and I'm just throwing this out there, Elon Musk offering to basically privatize TSA, or at least I will say Elon Musk is putting a step in that direction of, what if TSA were privatized? Well, I can tell you, if TSA were privatized and wasn't a government organization, TSA would be able to violate your liberties in a way the government cannot.
Yeah.
And so I'm just throwing that out there as a word of caution. You know, the way we get to totalitarian society is by redefining the relationship between citizen and government, but it happens gradually. It happens inch by inch.
I know why you're saying that, but explain. I get where you're going, but explain why. Explain why privatizing something like that would allow for further invasion.
Well, the ends justify the means, and
what does the government have to adhere to?
They have to protect our rights.
Yes,
and so there's things they're not supposed to do to protect our rights. Now, of course,
do I have freedom of speech that is absolute in all cases? Right. No, I don't.
Right.
However, if I work for an employer, which I'm an employer, so I don't work for somebody, but if I did work for someone, do they have to adhere to freedom of speech guidelines in terms of me posting something on social media?
No, they do not.
Of course not, right? And people get fired. We saw this with Charlie Kirk and celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. People were getting fired left and right. But those people that have, quote, freedom of speech or freedom of, like their constitutional rights, the Bill of Rights is there to protect us from the government.
Yes.
Right. It is extremely clear that we don't ever forget that. It is to protect us from the government. And a company like that, to your point, is not going to be beholden to all of those things, right? There's going to be certain limitations we could imagine, but for the same point, like they're not going to have the same. They're going to say, well, it's just a matter of security and national security,
and at the same time, it could get much better. I mean, can you imagine if security was privatized for a time? It could make all these TSA people, could expose this whole thing as being a total waste of time and money. You could potentially secure everything a lot easier.
Sure.
Facial recognition software, all kinds of things. But that's going to be great until they want to flip the switch and essentially limit travel. If you're not, I don't know, if you don't sign up for the new digital ID that's going to come some point in the future when they create some crisis that
Mark of the Beast,
a digital or you want to go Mark of the Beast route. Oh well, Mr. Private Security Firm isn't going to let you fly. Sorry, it's privatized. The airlines are privatized. I mean, I know there's federal regulation, but those are for-profit entities. TSA, works for the government. My point is just it's a disaster. And in terms of the relationship between citizen and government and the authority that's there, and how it just inches further and further towards totalitarianism, I will just say, like, if you were to drop, I thought about this back in 2009. because my grandfather had just passed away probably 6 months, 7 months before that happened in the underwear bomber. If you'd have dropped those people like at the airport, like as their 18, 19-year-old selves, and Shalonda is wanting to put their hand down their pants to see if they got a bomb in there. Let me tell you something.
Why's it gotta be Shalonda?
Well, because demographically speaking, I've been to the airport and that's who's putting their hands down your pants. And I'm just saying, like there would have been, it would have been over, it would have been gone, it'd been over, done. There's no way our grandparents put in their 18-year-old bodies would allow that kind of invasion of privacy. Especially, you can imagine. I can imagine my grandfather being a 20-year-old, and my mom is like, now the little girl's got to get fondled, got to get a picture taken. You got some, and there was all those allegations of those sick perverts that were looking at the images of the naked body scanners and saving them, and it's like, now if you want to fly, I mean, even that's the case right now. I mean, or it was for a while. I think some of the body scanners are optional, but can you imagine? Like, we accepted this. Like, hey, if you want to fly, we're going to have a photo of your genitals. I mean, do you really want to fly? Like, how bad do you want to fly? We're going to need to see your genitals. And all of us said, okay, I need to fly. We did it.
Yeah, and we just said, just letting you know, it's cold in here. It's cold in this airport.
Do women know about shrinkage? If
growers versus showers.
If Eric was here right now, he would get that Seinfeld reference. Okay.
Yes. So do they know about shrinkage? But to your point, Paul, you're absolutely correct about that. And I think that there's been so many of our liberties that we have willingly handed over. You can let's go real recent with it in the old March of 2020, right? Let's talk about those liberties that we literally walked out there, stripped down naked, and said, "Do whatever you want to me." That's what we did in March of 2020. It doesn't matter. Like, that was red states and blue states alike. But we walked out there with our hands up in the air and said, do whatever you want to me. If that was a social experiment, we have talked about it on this show many, many times. If that was a social experiment, if that was a government test run, we failed miserably.
We did. We did.
And what I would really, truly hope is that the whole never again crowd that apparently just forgot in New York City after 9/11 said never again, right? We're never going to do this again. We'll never forget, never forget. Same thing that we saw after, the Auschwitz. Never forget. All of these things. The people that forgot all of these instances, I really hope that they don't forget the liberties that we so willingly gave up during COVID. We sat there, Paul. There were restaurants that were still at 25% capacity well into 2022 and 2023. What the hell? There are people today that still wear masks, Paul, because the effing government told them to. What the hell? If that was a test, we failed.
And I'm going to add on this, and I don't mean to be Debbie Downer, but just so everybody knows, okay, the test is going to, if for some reason this war in the Middle East spirals out of control, right, and the real question moving forward is, can President Trump put this back in the bottle? Can you put this genie back in the bottle? Because it's everything I'm seeing is very, very difficult. But let me just put this out there. If you get $200 a barrel of oil, you essentially have COVID conditions overnight again, because no one's going to be able to afford to do anything.
Sure.
And it will be another test. I mean, a lot of people thought COVID was a dry run, and I'm just throwing that out there. Be ready. Be ready for the next wave. They're going to try to get everybody to submit. And one of the key pieces on the chessboard would be $200 a barrel of oil. And so just,
I hope that we're not
I hope I'm
there.
spectacularly wrong, by the way. I hope I'm spectacularly wrong about all that. But I'm just throwing that out there because it's better Better at least consider the worst case scenario and be prepared than not, and end up I don't know what's the end up in some sort of gas fuel line. I don't know, like Jimmy Carter. But okay. In other news, you got anything
Well, I was
else?
just going to say the bottom third is incorrect. That is not Rob Spencer. The guy with hair is Paul Harrell.
Sorry.
The guy without hair is Rob Spencer.
Look, I mean, at some point, we have plans when this program is more of a financial success than it is right now.
We're heading that way.
To move all of my equipment out, which is a lot, and move it behind the glass over there, or behind what used to be glass, what is still glass, behind me. And that'll be nice to be able to hire a producer someday. But
let's do it.
Until that happens, I'm going to make mistakes, and sometimes I'm going to be talking and it's going to say Rob Spencer, and then sometimes I'm going to be talking and it's going to be correct. So anyway, just FYI. Thank you guys for bearing with us.
What did you get defensive just now? Like, are you getting in your feels?
I don't think
I just
so.
pointed it out.
I don't think I'm defensive. I don't think I'm defensive.
Listen, we're thankful for our audience. We are thankful for all of the followers, and we are extremely thankful for the chat. You guys are crazy, and we love it.
Robert Mueller. You remember this? You remember it was Christmas time 2017.
And the complete derailment
Christmas
of Trump
time
1.0.
2017. Jack Dorsey still owned X, which was named Twitter, and the liberals dominated the platform. And Christmas, it might have been 2018, but it was Christmas time in Trump 1.0, and they were dropping beats like this. Have yourself a Mueller little
Oh
Christmas.
my gosh, I'm so sad. I remember the memes. Mueller's coming.
Yeah.
Robert Mueller. I think it's Mueller, but whatever the hell his name is.
I like Mueller.
Yeah.
Mueller. Anyway, Robert Mueller has passed away, and I have a lot of thoughts about it. President Trump had a lot of thoughts about it, obviously, and they were...
I want to say
Actually, he had a pretty brief thought about it.
I want to say a couple of things.
All right.
I do not believe that Robert Mueller was in charge of that investigation.
I don't either.
No more than I believe that Joe Biden was our actual president.
No way was
Okay.
that was Robert Mueller was foreshadowing of what they did to Joe Biden. It was
Because
just way worse. It was elder abuse.
Do you remember his testimony about the report on Capitol Hill, right? And we may have some clips of that. But it was just a circus, because he was like, what page are you on? The dude didn't know any of it.
He was a puppet.
He didn't know any of it. He was a puppet. He was a figurehead, and they chose him because he was conservative, Republican, whatever.
Yeah, definitely wasn't conservative, but had worked in Republican administration.
He had an R after his name rather than a D.
But this guy has a terrible history in the FBI. We're going to go
totally
over it.
get that, but he does have good military service, and I do not want to ever besmirch that. Thankful for his service, and I'm sad at the loss of life of anybody other than child molesters and murderers and all of this stuff. Robert Mueller was just somebody that I disagreed with vehemently. I don't know. It came out okay. Doug Collins. I miss Doug Collins. I wish he had not run for Senate because he'd still be in the House, in my opinion. But anyway, Robert Mueller was not in control of that report. But what it simply was a complete derailment of Trump 1.0. Because they were trying to say that Donald Trump was a Russian asset, and they weren't trying to say it. They believed. So all the bullshit.
And what do we know now? Thanks to Congressman Rick Crawford, thanks to Tulsi Gabbard. What do we know now?
Yes, we know that Barack Obama was the one trying to paint this picture that Donald Trump was a Russian asset. The reason was he was trying to create the situation that we got.
He literally ordered the intel agencies to manufacture.
And Trey Gowdy said it best. He said, this investigation is tearing the country apart. It really was.
And it did.
And it did. And it went on far too long. And all the liberal lunatics.
And you know what's crazy? And this is nuts, but I mean, if Elon Musk had owned Twitter back then, it really would have fallen on its face and fast.
Oh, yeah.
It would have fallen apart very
of public
quickly.
opinion. The court of public opinion would have been such a groundswell that it wouldn't have gotten as far as it got.
No, but yeah, and also the same thing when they tried to frame General Michael Flynn for treason. Wouldn't have gotten off the ground.
Have we forgotten why Rumble even exists?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Have we forgotten how Twitter, the purchasing of Twitter, and the emergence of platforms like Rumble that just said, you know what, we're not going to necessarily take you down if we disagree with the things that you say. Like, that all happened because of the BS that started with this Russia and the the Russian hoax. If he ever had the proper use of the term hoax, it was for this, right? And we saw that. And this Robert Mueller was unfortunately at the head of this and took the fall. He took this fall to his grave because, and it was said in there that he besmirched the Republican moniker that he had next to his name. He besmirched that. Some would argue that he even besmirched his military service because that action was a betrayal to the country.
Let's call this what it is. The Mueller investigation was a cover-up of the treason that had already taken place.
Yeah.
The Mueller investigation was an attempt. That's why they deleted all their cell phones. I mean, after they were done, what was it? Andrew Weissman, was he one of the lead attorneys? And all these, Robert Mueller was just the puppet. He was this figurehead. And it's so sick, Yeah. I mean, Robert Mueller did some really shady stuff in the 60s as well. I mean, he's not blameless by any, but you take a guy, and it's just, this always happens. You use your military service as a shield to then work against the American people. You go overseas to fight for America. You come home, work against the enemy.
There you go.
Or you work for the enemy against the American people. This happens to countless military veterans
100%.
who are used as like Manchurian candidates.
Yeah.
And they use their military. You can't criticize me because I served overseas.
Oh, that is so spot on, Paul. You are so spot on there that your military service does not cure your crazy. And we were talking about it earlier there with Lindsey Graham. That dude is certifiably nuts, and he is wanting to kill everybody. Well, I appreciate his years of service, whatever it may be.
As a JAG officer.
Yes. So, I mean, as a JAG off, he's one of those guys that was serving the country, but then yet he has turned to do, it just kind of aligns with his policies. And unfortunately, he's a United States Senator. And I'm not trying to go back to Lindsey Graham, but I just wanted to say that people like Robert Mueller, who served this country, as far as I know, honorably. I've not seen his DD-214, but as far as I know, he served the country honorably. They are so much to blame for the madness that took place in Trump 1.0.
Mm-hmm. They are.
And I just don't know that there can be forgiving, although I will give one caveat. Had it not been for that, had it not been for that sort of training of things leading into COVID that led to the emergence of Rumble, that led to Elon Musk purchasing Twitter, had it not been for that, I don't know. I don't know if Robert Mueller's investigation hadn't happened during Trump 1.0, if that would have led, I don't know if all those things would have happened. But I can say this, if Robert Mueller's investigation, the Russia hoax, if that led to what we see with X and actually having a public community square where people can share ideas without fear of retribution, the only thing you've got to fear is a community note when you lie. If that led to it, I will say that at least that is a silver lining.
Where do you fall down on President Trump? He took some criticism from this. Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people, President Donald J. Trump. Here's my take on it.
Yeah, tell us in the comments what you guys.
Yeah, what
think.
do you guys think of it? Obviously, Robert Mueller. I don't think he was an honorable man. Certainly didn't finish his life that way, based on all this. Here's my take on it in terms of President Trump. Like, I don't believe President Trump is a practicing Christian. I don't believe that. I pray for President Trump.
He acknowledged that on the plane when he said, "I don't think I'm going to go to heaven."
Yeah. I mean, he says, "I hope I get there."
Would know.
Yeah. So this stance makes a complete sense from that standpoint, right? I'm glad you're dead. It's actually it's actually the appropriate. It's just if that's where you're coming from, then this is kind of kill or be killed mentality, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Is like the outrage. Because I saw some people like every Christian must denounce this. I'm like, well, hang on, wait a second. Like, this is what I have come to expect from President Trump, right? Yeah. And it just is what it is. Like, I mean, this is a worldly reaction to somebody who has done legitimate harm to President Trump, who falsely accused him. And this is a natural reaction, a natural emotion that anybody would feel. Now, whether you would voice it publicly is another thing entirely. So.
Really good point there, Paul. And somebody would say, well, it's not presidential. But I can tell you this. I catch myself even, and my lovely wife who, I've got a potty mouth. She doesn't cuss. If she stubs her toe, she might say, damn it. But it's very light. All of that. Now, that doesn't mean that she's perfect, but she was raised a Christian. She's this or she's that. She can't stand Trump, although she agrees with his policies. She can't stand Trump, the person. And I will say this, to your point, Paul, I think that she holds all people to the comparison to, is this a person who is professing to be a Christian and living the Christian life? And so I find myself like doing the same thing. I find myself reading posts like that on Truth Social where he's like, I'm glad he's dead. And I look at it conversely through what my reactions were to some of the people who reacted to Charlie Kirk. And I thought, man, is it okay for me to be upset and disheartened that people celebrated the death of someone like Charlie Kirk, but then also not expect that out of the President of the United States, a man I voted for? So I wrestle with that. And I think that a lot of people do, Paul. I think a lot of people read his Truth Social posts and either say, hell yeah, or they roll their eyes, maybe with a little bit of frustration of, I wish he wouldn't say that. I understand that he's fighting back. But man, like the going back to the death of Rob Reiner, who is a libtard, man, was a libtard. Like, Rob Reiner was the very definition of a liberal lunatic, okay? But by all accounts, he was a decent person, He just went after Trump constantly, hated Trump. And him and his wife were murdered by their own son, slit their throats, and Trump celebrated it. I don't like that. I'm going to say that, and maybe that's going to be unpopular, especially in our pro-Trump crowd. I don't like that stuff. Can I say that I understand it? For me, no, I can't. But I've also never been in his position. I've also never been the President of the United States who had been arrested multiple times because of that he was considered an enemy. I've never been in his position, as he's joked when he would do the rallies. He said, every time I fly over a state, I'm indicted, right? And this was leading up to 2024 elections. So I've never been in his position, but I can say as a conservative, as a Christian, as a father, I don't like that stuff. I love every policy that he implements. There's been very few that I'm like, I didn't like the Epstein stuff. I didn't like his reaction to the Epstein stuff. But again, I've not been in his position, so I don't know. This was not a monologue that I planned,
No, I
Paul,
think I really appreciate that. Like, you know what? Because you know, if you're anything, you're genuinely expressing your opinion, and I tend to agree with what you said there.
Yeah,
and so
let me make no qualms about anything. If Trump were eligible,
yes,
to run again,
exactly,
he has my vote,
right.
And it's not even close.
Well, and that just goes to show you that the people on the right are not this monolith. This you get accused of being in a cult by the left, but no, I mean we're a coalition.
We're a coalition.
We have different issues that we rank at higher of importance than others, and yet we realize that, or at least I try to realize, that politicians are tools to advance the people's agenda, and the people have been sold out for a long time by politicians because we well, and he was for years have been our champion. Yeah,
you're the forgotten man, right?
I know. It's like when Dave Chappelle did that famous monologue on SNL, and he says, and then Trump comes out and says, "I know the system is rigged,
right?
Because I use it."
Yes, Star was born. But Wilson, I agree with you. We didn't elect a pastor.
Oh no, 100%.
We did not.
No.
We did not. I go to church every Sunday, and I listen to my pastor and preach the word. I trust my pastor. I don't just blindly trust my pastor, because a lot of folks do, but I go to church for.
But you found him to be trustworthy,
correct?
And
he all of that stuff. I didn't elect Donald Trump to be my pastor.
Correct.
That's not what I'm trying to say at all.
No.
Are there some things that he says and does that I don't like? Yeah, and those are the ones that I'm highlighting. Also,
and that's true of everybody.
There's some times, and it may be a little unchristian-like of me, but when he's getting questions from a reporter, and he says, that's a stupid question. And I think all of us, too, have felt that same thing. Like, these reporters are trying to have these gotcha moments. You're a journalist. I'm not. But there's so many people. Like, you ask good and insightful questions. The people that we've had in the studio that you've interviewed, Paul, you've asked good, insightful questions. They're not gotcha questions. But there's so many of these rag reporters out there that are simply trying to have these gotcha questions. So I'm all for his takedowns of that. And so maybe it's a little hypocritical of me. Maybe it's just one of these things where, like, I'm okay with him slamming this person, but I'm not okay with him slamming this person. I will say this. I don't like the after-death slam. I think that's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
Spitting on the grave of someone that you disagree with. You can do it, man. You can totally spit on the grave of someone, in my opinion, in your head, or maybe even physically if you're not the president of the United States, who could, but man, just throwing dirt on there. It's just my personal thing. But again, to Wilson's point in the comments here, I agree with you completely.
No, I mean,
we didn't elect a pastor.
Look, from a spiritual standpoint, right? I mean, that's what the church's authority is. Your church has spiritual authority. And then you have the civil realm. You have the magistrate realm. Now, I firmly believe we need more Christians who are in government and magistrates. Mm-hmm. That's not to say that, obviously, not all Christians are pastors, right? Christians go out, and they're called to be Christian dog catcher, be Christian plumbers, be Christian state legislators, and that sort of thing. So, anyway, that's the way I see things. Here is Robert Mueller, Technofog. The FBI framed 4 men for murder in the 60s. When the cover-up was discovered, Director Mueller was asked for the FBI position on their convictions. Mueller's FBI lied about the evidence, denied the men's innocence, and only conceded they could have a new trial. Here's Hans writing, Mueller's misdeeds prior to becoming special counsel are well documented, but far less is known about just how far gone he was during the entire period. We know that by July of 2019, when he had that train wreck appearance before Congress, he was a senile old man. We also know that he had no real operative role on the special counsel beyond signing whatever Wiseman, Andrew Weissman, put in front of him, as shown by the fact that he never once spoke to Papadopoulos, the supposed linchpin of what he was supposed to be investigating. So the real question is how far gone he already was when he took the job. My guess is that he was already well past it, and that Weissman and others told him to stay at home, or on the days he did show up, parked him in a room with an old Maclock episodes on loop while they ran the coup against Trump. This is something that needs to be answered. And the coup, again, really, the coup had already happened. This was the cover-up, is what this was.
Well, when you think about it from the perspective of Lisa Page and Peter Strzok.
Yes.
Like, Peter Strzok should have never, ever been on this case whatsoever. And I think the Robert Mueller from 30 years prior wouldn't have allowed that. I really don't. Even if he agreed with Peter Strzok, I don't think he would have allowed it because of the perception. It gave conservatives this entry point to criticism.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think he would have allowed that if he was on his game. Yeah. So to whoever that last post's point was, I mean, he wasn't with it. And it was on display, and we're about to see
Listen to this. This was elder abuse, folks.
No. If no, on page 180 of volume 1 of your report, you wrote, as defined in legal dictionaries, collusion is largely synonymous with conspiracy, as that crime is set forth in the General Federal Conspiracy Statute 18 U.S.C. 371. You said at your May 29th press conference and here today, you choose your words carefully. Are you sitting here today testifying something different than what your report states?
Well, what I'm asking is if you can give me the citation, I can look at the citation and evaluate whether it is accurate.
Okay, let me just be clarified. You stated that you would stay within the report. I just stated your report back to you. And you said that collusion and conspiracy were not synonymous terms. That was your answer, was no.
That's correct.
In that, page 180 of volume 1 of your report, it says, as defined in legal dictionaries, collusion is largely synonymous with conspiracy, as that crime is set forth in General Conspiracy Statute 18 U.S.C. 371. Now, you said you chose your words carefully. Are you contradicting your report right now?
Not when I read it.
So you would change your answer to yes then?
No,
I remember this.
If you look at the language.
I'm reading your report, sir. It's a yes or no answer.
Page 180.
Page 180, volume 1. Okay. This was from your report.
Correct. And I leave it with the report.
So the report says, yes, they are synonymous.
Yes.
Hopefully, finally, out of your own report, we can put to bed the collusion and conspiracy. One last question as we're going through. Did you ever look into other countries investigated in the Russian interference into our election? Were other countries investigated or found knowledge that they had interference in our election?
I'm not going to discuss other matters.
I mean, it went on like that for 2 hours.
That was painful.
And it was very obvious. I don't think this quite does it justice. I mean, I remember that, but like he was not familiar with what he was being questioned over. He did not have a command of the facts. He wasn't familiar with what he had written. He was literally just a placeholder.
Well, and Collins rightfully pointed out a contradiction from his report to what he said live, right? And what did Robert Mueller eventually do when cornered here? He's like, oh, I'll just leave it with the report. He didn't know what the hell he's talking about in the first place.
No idea.
He didn't know anything in that report.
No idea.
100%. And so what we saw was just a complete sideshow. Now, Republicans may have wanted that because they wanted to strike against the credibility of the report, even though the report was conclusive. I mean, in a lot of respects, that Trump was not colluding with Russia. It in a lot of ways exonerated him. Like, you can have whatever your thoughts are on Bill Barr at that point, but his summary of things, was pretty fantastic in the grand scheme of things. But Robert Mueller didn't know any of it. He didn't know anything that was in that report, and so the Democrats were trying to validate some of the points that really spoke against Trump in that report. But Robert Mueller couldn't confirm or deny any of that stuff, at least not honestly under oath. Because he didn't know what was in there.
We also have this. Any time I have the opportunity to play a clip from the late great Lou Dobbs, who had his finger on the pulse.
We miss him.
He was talking about border security back when nobody was.
Border security.
He knew the people were against it, but he covered this. Here's Tom Fitton about Mueller and that whole witch hunt.
And that is records that show that Mueller and his team wiped out the files on phones, 20 some odd phones. This is outrageous. This sounds like Hillary Clinton all over again. We're just missing the bleach bit?
Yeah, it was accidental, of course, Lou. All that was happening accidentally. One phone wiped itself out, so that's just complete magic. Look, if the FBI went into a corporation and the entire leadership of the corporation among them wiped out, clean the phones of 30 plus phones, what would the FBI do? We already know what they do because Mueller's team told us. They said they raided Manafort's home that morning. Remember that guns-drawn raid? It was because they were worried he was destroying evidence. So we have the IG, the DOJ, find out quite apparently that all this evidence is magically disappearing from these phones based on the what I call a pandemic of phones being wiped, and they do nothing about it. And this would never have come out but for our lawsuit. And we just found out earlier in another release that Mueller was in the running for the FBI position. Rosenstein wrote an email saying he's taking himself out of consideration, which means he was under consideration, and he knew it, which raises questions about perjury to Congress. So there's between what happened with Mueller's testimony and the destruction and potential of evidence and the potential obstruction of justice, there needs to be a criminal investigation of the Mueller team. And the fact that it evidently hasn't been done yet speaks volumes about the way the deal.
We're still waiting. There's a little bit of a consistency here. The Mueller investigation was a cover-up from the original treason. Once the investigation's concluded, it's a big nothing burger, and it was a nothing burger because the purpose was to cover up. Like, they accomplished what they were there for, which was to cover up.
Oh, sure.
Operation, what Rick Crawford's committee and
Look
Tulsi
over
Gabbard,
here, look
right?
over here. Look
That's
over
what
here.
it was. What do? They deleted all of their phone records, all of their cover-up. Just like the J6 committee.
Yeah,
what was the
exactly
J6 committee? J6 committee was a cover-up. They were hoping they could squash populism. They were, they did end up with the subpoenas putting, Navarro in jail and Steve Bannon in jail, but it was really there to
overall was a big nothing burger.
Let me collect all the evidence that this was a false flag. Let me suppress it, and then we're going to delete all of the evidence.
Right,
just
but we're still going to go out and say the evidence.
Yes.
We're just not going to be able to back it up.
This is what they do. They commit treason, or they commit a false flag, and then the investigation's the cover up, just like with 9/11, just like with the Warren Commission on JFK. It's we never get the truth. Our government lies to us all the time, constantly. Anyway, feel free to respond to that,
Paul. I won't have you besmirch our honest government. They collect our tax dollars, use them efficiently, and there's no waste, fraud, and abuse to be seen. But yeah, I mean, Lou Dobbs is he was partial, of course, but man, he said what we were all thinking. This is outrageous. This is treasonous. How dare you collect all this evidence and then just delete it? You just deleted it all so that it can never be scrutinized. And so that's why we knew, right? Because in 2020, this J6 committee and all of this stuff in 2021, we knew what they were. They were Democrat controlled. Yep. And the only Republicans allowed on there were rhinos.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Folks, while I have your attention, I want to tell you about the healing power of red light. Many of you out there can't sleep. Many of you out there have no energy. Many of you out there have aches and pains, and you're thinking about going to an orthopedic surgeon. Red light therapy can help with all of those. And so before you go under the knife, before you drug yourself with melatonin or whatever the case may be, or continue to take the ibuprofen, which may be good here and there, but habitually taking it can be bad for the stomach. I mean, there's all sorts of problems with that. Consider the natural healing power of red light with RedVive and the great folks at redvivehealth.org. Right now, you can get 35% off when you use my name, Paul, or go to redvivehealth.org/Paul. That's redvivehealth.org/Paul. There's different models there that you see. There's different price points. They even have a hat that'll help your hair. If you want to do that. We're talking about mitochondria, not you, Rob. You're too
I can't
far
get
gone.
in here. Okay.
Mitochondria level stimulation. This is called photo or biophotomodulation. It's scientifically proven. It really is the future of medicine, and it's naturally emitted by the sun. But with these panels, it's targeted doses, and you get red light and near infrared light. The red light is good for your skin. It's going to boost your collagen. It's going to be anti-aging. You're going to see more. You're going to see less less wrinkles or less age spots with the red light, but then the near infrared light, which is also in the panels, is going to penetrate into your body, stimulate the mitochondria of your cell, increase blood flow. It's a biohack. You think you're getting to work out. Your cells think you're getting to work out. It's incredible for energy, for sleep, for aches, for pains. I want you to go there now. And again, that's redvivehealth.org, or right there on your screen there. You see it right here. You can go to you can just call 844-REDVIVE. Mention my name, Paul. Save 35%. That's 844-REDVIVE. Save 35%. We're going to take a quick break and going to be back here in just a moment.
Stick with us.
I'm Brian Norris, retired Army First Sergeant, husband to Kelly, father of 3 amazing girls, and a lifelong Arkansan who puts faith, family, and fair elections first. When Independence County demanded real election transparency, I led the charge, petitioning voters and winning at the Arkansas Supreme Court. Now, Little Rock bureaucrats are punishing counties like Searcy for putting voters first. That's not real conservatism. It's big government overreach in disguise. That's why Trump allies like General Michael Flynn, Mike Lindell, Justice Michael Gableman, Colonel Conrad Reynolds, Senator Wendy Rogers, and Senator Mark Fincham back me. Together, we'll secure Arkansas's elections and inspire the nation. As Secretary of State, I'll implement President Trump's executive order, verify citizenship, replace hackable voting computers, and build trust with verifiable paper ballots. I'll cut red tape for businesses, harness our natural gas and lithium boom, and attract tech jobs to grow Arkansas strong. This is our fight, our future. Join us.
Paid for by Norris for Arkansas.
All right, folks, that didn't take long. Welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. So, yeah, just real quick, Brian Norris, he is going to be in Searcy, Arkansas on March the 24th. That's tomorrow. For a campaign rally, and you feel free to check that out. The details are on Facebook. It's going to be at the Ozark Heritage Center, or Heritage Arts Center, and 6:30 p.m. That's tomorrow, Tuesday, March 24th. You can get the details on Facebook, but I figured I'd announce it here for all of our Arkansas viewers. If you want to check it out, you feel free to go.
Well, I mean, I want to reiterate for our non-Arkansas audience how important these Secretary of State positions are. And Brian Norris is a true constitutional conservative. And, if we have any issues, I know that we are a red state, but
look at Georgia.
Look at what happened in Georgia.
Ratzenberger was a Republican.
Correct. And then you had a governor there that just totally stabbed Donald Trump in the back. So these governors, secretaries of state, these attorneys general, they are so crucial in each and every state. So if you know some folks in Arkansas, I really want to encourage you to have them vote for Brian Norris.
All right, so I like to blindside you sometimes, Rob, and just kind of get your take on things.
Bring it.
We went to the Grizzlies game the other day. Me, you, and Eric, we went to the Memphis Grizzlies.
NBA.
I'm not big on sports that much. I mean, I like college football, I guess. But man, it was crazy. But we were right behind the broadcast booth. I was actually, I was fascinated with how these 6'8" guys can like run 90 feet in like 3 strides. That was cool. But I was more concerned. I kept getting distracted because you had the broadcast booth there in front of you, and listening to the guy who was like, I don't remember anybody's name, but they're big booming voices, and the whole setup. I was more obsessed with the technology of it all as well, like how is this all working? So, sometimes we do a show. Sometimes you got a vamp. Maybe people think this is a vamp. But this Major League Baseball broadcasters, I mean, I don't know how you make a mistake like this. I mean, I guess I could see how, but
let's hear it.
Take a listen to this, and you tell me what you think, Rob Spencer.
So good start for the Twins here in the 4th inning. You ever seen Buck with his pants down? No. Like in shorts? No, like he doesn't have his, no socks showing. Ah, I see what you're saying. So, yeah.
What the hell was that?
All right, so if you ever want a definition of charity or a definition of giving someone the benefit of the doubt, It is the announcer who's like, well, what do you mean? You mean like with his shorts?
So good start for the Twins here in the 4th inning. You ever seen Buck with his pants down? No. Like in shorts? No, like he doesn't have his, no socks showing.
Oh, gosh, you can just tell that, like, off screen, he's like, he knows.
He's
like, oh, no.
Like, what are you talking about
He's
there?
like, he's doing this. He's like, with his pants, his socks aren't showing. His socks aren't.
What do you mean, Johnny? That was awkward. It was awkward just hearing it. So I can't imagine. I can't imagine if you were like live in the broadcast booth. That was, it reminds me of that announcer that he said something. I don't want to get canceled, but he said there was a African American running back on a breakaway, and the announcer said, "Look at that." I'm going to repeat what he said. Look at that monkey run, and he was immediately fired for saying that. And I was like, I don't think he meant that racially at all. But, man, just as obviously this guy did not mean this sexually at all.
Yeah.
And then, boom, here it is, right? It's like once you've put it out there, here it is. Here's this turd sandwich. Everybody eat it.
You wonder what was said, 5 seconds before, 10 seconds before, because I don't even know. Number 56, I don't even know who that is. But he's like, man, that number 56, he's quite the athlete.
Yeah.
You ever see him with his pants?
You ever see him with his pants down?
and
Guy's packing heat.
And the other announcer is like, immediately he's like, no.
No, I have not.
I haven't.
Don't know why you brought it up there, Bob.
Is there a sports broadcasters registry, sex offender registry list? Because you may need to be on it. You may need to be on it.
Oh, my gosh. Anyway.
Sorry. That's,
what a way to end the show here, Paul.
No, I mean, it was good. This is where we'll end it after the whole Russia collusion thing. So, this made me so mad for a lot of reasons. Obviously, I'm not for the war in Iran. You guys know that. But former CIA Director John Brennan goes on MS Now and is now calling into question the intelligence and the imminent threat and everything else. And this flew all over me.
He's not even getting intelligence briefings anymore because he's so corrupt.
It flew all over me because this guy is now being used, and he should be in jail. And President Trump's Pam Bondi should have already put this guy in jail, and now he's out there using his fake credibility. His, at this point, it's just stolen credibility to say, I used to be the head of the CIA. Or the DNI, and now I'm going to say, and he should be in jail. And this is, I will just say, this is on Pam Bondi, this is on Todd Blanche, all of them.
Yeah,
I know
where's that perp walk?
I know they're down there, trying to do some sort of a grand jury. But anyway, it was very frustrating, and we've got a lot more work to do, folks. And that's all the time that we have for this edition of the Paul Harrell program. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this video, do all the things. We really appreciate it. We'll be back here tomorrow with a brand new show. God bless everybody out there watching. A special thanks to Red Vive Health, New Horizon Real Estate, Gateway Sight and Sound, 7 Weeks Coffee, and Sherry Chiropractic. And we will see you tomorrow.